Number of solutions to quadratic equations. So to these quadratic equations, but sometimes you're going to get one solution, and there's also times where you're not going to get any solutions. You're going to get no solutions, which is more like we call them complex or non-real solutions. And there's a shortcut method to kind of determine how many solutions they're going to be to the problem, and it's using this thing called the discriminant. So we call this the discriminant, and it's this formula right here. It says b squared minus 4ac. And that should look pretty familiar to you, the b squared minus 4ac, because if you remember from the quadratic formula, that's the part that's underneath the square root. So you don't need to write this, but you know, in the quadratic formula, we have that b squared minus 4ac underneath the square root. And hopefully, as you know, when we've been solving these problems, if we ever take the square root of a positive number, we've been getting two solutions. We get that plus or minus, right? So when this is, I'm highlighting down here. Maybe I don't know how clear the yellow comes up. I'll highlight in pink. So when this b squared minus 4ac is positive, in other words, greater than 0, we're getting two solutions, right? Now, if you take the square root of 0, when you take the square root of 0, there's no positive and negative 0. It's just singular 0. So in those cases, when this b squared minus 4ac equals 0, then there's just one solution. Now let's say you take the square root of a negative. Well, if you take the square root of a negative, and you can back this up in your calculator, if you take the square root of a negative, you get error. You can't do that. So it's in those situations, we're going to say when it's less than 0, there's no solutions. And in later courses, you're going to talk about complex and non-real solutions. But for our purpose, we're going to say there's no solution. So again, what this really comes down to is that square root part, in the quadratic formula. And we call this the discriminant. So basically, if b squared minus 4ac equals 0, there's one solution. If b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, there's two solutions. If b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, there aren't going to be any solution. So let's just stick to this format here, to these notes as we do these, okay? So here we go. It says determine the number of solutions to the following quadratic functions using the discriminant. Write two solutions, no solutions, or one solution. Okay, so we're going to do b squared minus 4ac. So on this particular problem, we know, a is 1, right? B is -8, and c is 16. So I'm going to do b squared minus 4ac. So I'm going to do -8 squared minus 4. A is 1, c is 16. We're going to evaluate that. -8 squared is positive 64. And I basically have a -4 times 1 times 16. That would be minus 64 there. And 64 minus 64 is 0. So if, again, b squared minus 4ac equals 0, we're going to say that there is one solution. And just so you understand the reasoning is because, in the quadratic formula, if we take the square root of 0, there's just going to be, it's just a singular value. It's just 0. There is no positive or negative solution. It's just that 1, 0. All right, let me show you b. So we'll do b squared minus 4ac. So I'm going to do 6 squared minus 4. A is 3, c is 2. 6 squared is 36. 4 times 3 times 2, 12, 24. 36 minus 24 is 12, which is a positive number. It's greater than 0. So based off of this, our rule up here, there's going to be two solutions. Because if you take the square root of a positive number, you have that positive and negative solution. So there's going to be two solutions there. So the first one was 0, so there was just one solution. The second one was a positive number. It's greater than 0, so there's two solutions. Let's try C. B squared minus 4AC. Oh, forgot the square. That'd be 25 minus 80, I think. 25 minus 80, I know that's going to be negative, but I'll do the math anyways. It's negative 55. So since it's negative, also known as less than 0, that means there's going to be no solution. No solution because, when we're solving quadratic equations, you can't take the square root of a negative. So there's going to be no solution because it was negative. So I hope that makes sense. Maybe I'll do. No, I think that makes sense. So basically, remember, you got if it equals 0, there's one solution, the b squared minus 4ac. If it's greater than 0, there's two solutions. If it's less than 0, or aka negative, there's no solution. So try the rest of these. Remember, like on, this one, you got to set it equal to 0 first. Same thing with this. On H, there is no b value. The b value is 0, so use 0 squared minus 4ac. So just be careful with those, okay?